My stepmom tried to humiliate me at graduation, but what I revealed left everyone speechless. Hi, I'm Mia. But before I tell you how it all began, let me know from which country you're watching from in the comments. The auditorium was alive with excitement, a sea of proud families, eager graduates, and the hum of cameras capturing every moment. My heart should have been soaring, a mix of relief and pride filling me as I walked across the stage. Instead, it was pounding in my chest like a warning bell. My stepmom, perched at the front with a smug smile, chose that exact moment to stand, projecting her voice so that everyone could hear. She never even paid for her tuition, she declared, her eyes locked on mine, daring me to respond. The words hit me like a thunderclap. A hush fell over the crowd, and I could see confused glances passing between classmates, parents, and even teachers. The smugness on her face was infuriating. This was her stage, and she thought she had it all: power, control, and the satisfaction of undermining me publicly. But she had no idea that years of planning, secrecy, and relentless effort had prepared me for this exact moment. I had grown up in a household where she constantly tried to diminish me. From subtle comments about my appearance to overt criticism of my achievements, she had built her identity on control and belittling others. My father, while loving, rarely intervened. He either underestimated her manipulations or assumed it was easier to let her take the lead. But I had long since learned that fighting her head-on only gave her fuel. Instead, I channeled every insult, every put-down into a private drive to succeed on my own terms. The scholarship I had earned became my secret weapon. I had applied to multiple programs throughout high school, carefully curating applications, maintaining high grades, and keeping my efforts completely under the radar. I knew if she discovered what I was doing, she would have tried to interfere or claim credit for my achievements. Every essay I wrote in the quiet of my room, every recommendation I secured, every late night spent perfecting applications, it all led to this moment. As she finished her dramatic proclamation, I could feel the crowd holding their breath, sensing that something important was about to happen. I calmly reached into my folder, pulled out the official scholarship letter, and held it up for everyone to see. Actually, I began, my voice steady and controlled, I received a full scholarship that covered every year of my tuition. This scholarship was awarded for merit and dedication, and it has been my responsibility and privilege to earn it independently. Whispers and murmurs swept through the audience. Faces turned toward me, eyes widening in surprise. My stepmom's smile faltered just slightly, and I could see the first flicker of panic in her eyes. Her plan to humiliate me publicly had backfired in seconds. Every attempt she had made to claim authority, to control the narrative, had been dismantled in the quietest yet most public way possible. I wasn't finished. I held up the scholarship letter higher, letting the words be clearly visible, then continued, I've worked tirelessly, often without support, and this achievement is a testament to my determination and hard work. So while I appreciate the enthusiasm, let's give credit where it's truly due. Applause erupted. Some of my classmates clapped loudly, and soon the entire room joined in. The energy shifted completely. The focus was no longer on her theatrics, but on my accomplishment, my independence, and the undeniable truth that I had succeeded entirely on my own. My stepmom sank into her seat, her eyes darting around as she realized her power play had failed. The crowd had seen through her, and her attempt to control the story had been neutralized in the most elegant way. This was more than just revenge. It was vindication. Every moment of belittlement I had endured, every subtle attempt to undermine my confidence, had fueled this perfect execution. By the time she realized the impact, it was too late. Her audience had witnessed the truth, and I had quietly orchestrated the perfect payoff. The applause, the cheers, the acknowledgement from friends, family, and even strangers, it was all validation that patience, strategy, and determination could dismantle arrogance and entitlement without a single argument. As I walked off the stage, diploma in hand, the sense of triumph was overwhelming. I hadn't just earned my degree. I had proven that manipulation and control have limits, and that preparation and quiet strength can deliver the most satisfying revenge. I had turned humiliation into empowerment, control into independence, and doubt into undeniable proof of my capability. Looking back, it's hard to describe exactly when I realized my stepmom would always try to undermine me. From the moment she entered my life, she treated me as an outsider, a challenge to her authority and to the image she wanted to project in front of others. Every report card, every school award, every small achievement became an opportunity for her to remind me, and everyone around us, that she had the final say, that she controlled the narrative. My accomplishments were never just mine. They were always measured against her expectations or, worse, dismissed entirely. I remember countless nights sitting at my desk long after everyone else had gone to bed, poring over scholarship applications and essays. It wasn't just the stress of maintaining perfect grades. It was the quiet urgency of building a life that was entirely mine, independent of anyone who thought they could diminish me. Every word I typed, every letter of recommendation I requested, every exam I aced in secret was part of a bigger plan, to be untouchable in a way that could never be belittled. I didn't just want to succeed, I wanted to reclaim power over my own story, and I knew that the moment to reveal it would have to be perfect. She had no idea. My stepmom thrived on attention and control. She loved being the center of family gatherings, the one whose opinion shaped events, the one whose approval seemed necessary. If she had known about my scholarship, she would have either tried to take credit or, worse, sabotage my efforts. So I kept it a secret, carefully guarding every document, every email, every acceptance letter as though it were a weapon. It was my secret armor, my silent rebellion, and my ticket to a public vindication that would leave her speechless. As graduation approached, I watched her antics with a growing mixture of frustration and strategy. She had been planning her moment, probably imagining the embarrassment she could inflict. But I had been planning mine for years. I knew exactly when and how to reveal the truth, and I knew it had to be done in front of everyone who mattered. The teachers, classmates, and the extended family who had for years tolerated her manipulations. That day, the ceremony began with all the usual pomp and excitement. I walked in with a calm exterior, even though my mind was racing. I could feel her eyes on me, calculating, searching for a weakness to exploit. She had a smugness about her, that quiet confidence of someone who thinks they are untouchable. And for years she had been untouchable, at least in her own mind. But I had waited, bided my time, and ensured that I was armed with the ultimate proof of my independence. When she stood up and announced, in her typical dramatic flair, that she had never paid for my tuition, I felt a flicker of excitement amidst the initial shock. This was the moment I had been waiting for. The hushed silence of the audience was the perfect backdrop for the reveal I had carefully orchestrated. Calmly, deliberately, I reached into my folder, pulled out the official scholarship letter, and let it catch the light as I held it for all to see. The energy shifted immediately. The murmurs and whispers, the exchanged glances of disbelief, it all confirmed that the narrative had changed. My stepmom's carefully constructed performance, the one designed to embarrass me, was crumbling. I took a deep breath and began to speak, letting the words flow naturally. This scholarship, earned entirely through my own efforts, has covered every year of my tuition. I have worked hard to achieve it without relying on anyone who tried to control my future. The applause was almost instantaneous. Faces turned toward me, some open in astonishment, some nodding in approval. My stepmom's expression faltered, a mix of disbelief and panic washing over her face. She had never considered that I might have a secret plan, that I could quietly outmaneuver her in front of everyone she wanted to impress. Her authority, once seemingly untouchable, had been dismantled with a single reveal. Even the faculty and staff who had occasionally witnessed her manipulations looked impressed. Teachers who had once smiled politely at her commentary were now nodding at me, acknowledging my accomplishment and independence. Classmates who had grown up seeing her dominate conversations and control narratives were now staring at me with newfound respect. In one carefully executed moment, I had shifted the entire dynamic. The satisfaction wasn't in the applause alone. It was in the knowledge that years of preparation, hard work, and patience had culminated in a moment that was completely mine. Every late night, every stressful application, every private moment of perseverance had led to this precise payoff. She had underestimated me, as she always did, and that underestimation had become the catalyst for the most satisfying revenge I could imagine. As I stepped down from the stage, I felt a sense of power that I had never known before. This wasn't just about proving her wrong. It was about reclaiming my narrative, asserting my independence, and demonstrating that success achieved through effort and intelligence is the ultimate form of revenge. My stepmom had tried to humiliate me, but instead she became the figure of embarrassment, the cautionary tale for anyone who underestimated quiet determination. The applause that followed my reveal didn't fade quickly. It lingered in the room, washing over me like a wave of validation and vindication. My stepmom, once so confident and domineering, was now frozen, caught between disbelief and a creeping realization that her entire plan had failed spectacularly. I could see the tension in her shoulders, the forced attempts at composure, and the tiny quiver in her jaw. She had built her identity around control and manipulation, and for the first time in years she had lost it, all in front of the very people she wanted to impress. Walking off the stage, diploma in hand, I felt an almost intoxicating mix of triumph and relief. All the years of quiet determination, the hours spent studying and perfecting applications, and the secrecy that had been necessary to shield my achievements had led to this precise moment. I hadn't needed to yell, confront, or fight. I simply let the truth speak for itself. That was the essence of my revenge. Calculated, patient, and undeniable. In the days that followed, the shift in family dynamics was palpable. Relatives and friends who had previously been passive observers now approached me with genuine admiration. My father, who had often been caught between loyalty to his spouse and pride in my accomplishments, now openly praised my initiative and resilience. Even my stepmom seemed aware that she could no longer belittle me without drawing attention to her own failings. Every family gathering, every conversation, and every casual interaction became subtly influenced by that one day, the day I turned humiliation into empowerment. But the sweetest part of this revenge wasn't just the public exposure. It was the private satisfaction of knowing I had outmaneuvered someone who had thrived on my discomfort. I had planned, executed, and delivered a moment of justice without stooping to anger or confrontation. My patience had paid off, and in doing so, I had demonstrated a truth that resonates beyond any single family conflict. Control and manipulation have limits, and those who underestimate quiet determination often pay the price. Looking back, I realized that the true victory was internal. The scholarship had been more than money. It was freedom, independence, and a tangible proof of my capabilities. It symbolized the culmination of years of perseverance in the face of subtle sabotage and relentless undermining. By holding my achievements close until the perfect moment, I was able to reclaim my narrative and assert my autonomy, transforming what could have been a moment of shame into a moment of undeniable triumph. The impact lasted far beyond graduation. My stepmom, aware now of her miscalculation, began treating me with a wary respect that she had never shown before. I no longer felt overshadowed, diminished, or dismissed. Instead, I carried with me a sense of empowerment and validation that could not be stolen or belittled. I had proven to myself, and to everyone watching, that patience, strategy, and self-belief can dismantle arrogance and entitlement in the most satisfying ways. This experience also taught me the subtle but crucial lesson that revenge doesn't have to be loud or vindictive to be effective. Sometimes, the quiet, deliberate, and strategic execution of your plans speaks louder than any confrontation or argument ever could. The ultimate revenge is the one that empowers you, validates your efforts, and demonstrates your strength while leaving those who tried to undermine you powerless and exposed. Every time I reflect on that graduation day, I feel a deep sense of pride, not just for the scholarship or the diploma, but for the moment of vindication that allowed me to rewrite my story. I had turned a public humiliation into a personal triumph, exposing truth and integrity in a way that left my stepmom speechless and everyone else inspired.